work as a cleaner for an old Catholic church downtown, the kind built in the 1800s with stone walls and stained glass windows. I took the night shift because it pays double. For 6 months, nothing strange happened. I mopped the floors, dusted the pews, polished the altar. The church was peaceful at night, silent except for the wind outside. I almost enjoyed it. But 3 weeks ago, I noticed something wrong. The statues. We have 12 of them along the walls. Saints, angels, the Virgin Mary. I know exactly where each statue stands because I dust them every night. St. Peter is by the front door. St. Anthony is near the confessionals. The Virgin Mary is to the right of the altar. One night I finished dusting St. Peter and moved to the next pew. When I looked back, St. Peter had turned his head. Not much, just a few degrees. But his eyes were now facing me instead of facing the altar. I thought I was imagining it. I finished my shift and left. The next night, St. Anthony had moved too. His hand, which always pointed upward, was now pointing toward the basement door. I told the priest the next morning. He laughed and said I was working too many hours. He blessed me and sent me home. That night I almost didn't go back, but I needed the money. I walked into the church at 11 p.m. like always. The statues were back in their original positions. St. Peter facing the altar, St. Anthony pointing up. I sighed with relief and started my work. At 2 a.m., I heard a sound. It came from the statue of the Virgin Mary, a cracking noise like stone grinding against stone. I turned around slowly. The Virgin Mary had raised her arms. Her stone arms, which always rested at her sides, were now stretched out toward me, like she was reaching for something or someone. Her eyes, which faced forward, were now looking down at the floor, looking at me. I dropped my mop and ran to the front door. It was locked. The key was in my pocket, but my hands were shaking so much I couldn't grab it. Behind me, I heard more cracking, more grinding. I turned around. All 12 statues had turned their heads. All of them were looking at me. St. Peter's mouth was open. It hadn't been open before. There was something dark inside. I finally got the door open and ran out into the street. I stood there in the cold, shaking, watching the church through the stained glass windows. The lights were on inside, but I could see shadows moving, shadows that weren't mine, shapes walking between the pews, tall shapes, silent shapes. I called the priest at 3 a.m. He didn't answer. I called again. No answer. I went home and didn't sleep. The next morning, I went back to the church during daylight. The statues were normal. St. Peter's mouth was closed. The Virgin Mary's arms were at her sides. I asked the priest if he had heard anything strange. He said no. Then he asked me why I looked so pale. I didn't tell him. That night I went back to work because I kept telling myself I was being crazy. I walked into the church at 11 p.m. Everything was normal. I started mopping the floor near the altar. At midnight I heard footsteps, not from outside, from the back of the church near the statues. I looked up. No one was there, but the statues were different. All 12 of them were now facing the altar, facing me. Their stone eyes were blacker than before, deeper, like there was something inside them looking out. I decided to finish my shift no matter what. I was halfway through when I heard the singing, soft at first, like whispers, then louder. It came from the statues. Their stone mouths were moving, forming words without sound. But I could hear it in my head, like a song being sung directly into my brain. It was Latin. I don't speak Latin, but I understood the words. Come closer. Come to us. We have been waiting. I dropped my mop again and ran to the door. The key turned, but the door didn't open. It was stuck, like someone was holding it shut from the outside, or the inside. The singing got louder. The statues were swaying now, swaying on their stone bases, grinding against the floor. Their arms were moving. St. Peter was reaching toward me. St. Anthony was pointing at my chest. The Virgin Mary was crying, stone tears rolling down her stone cheeks. I backed into a corner and slid down to the floor. I covered my ears and closed my eyes. The singing continued for what felt like hours. Then at 3:33 a.m., it stopped. Silence. I opened my eyes. The statues were still. back in their original positions. I ran out of the church and never went back. I quit that job the next day. The priest called me and asked why. I said I found something else. He said, "Was it the statues?" I froze. I asked him what he meant. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "The church is old, older than anyone knows. The statues were not bought. They were found in the basement. When they built the church, they dug down and found 12 stone figures buried in a circle. No one knows who put them there or how old they are. But every night the night cleaners hear things, see things. You're not the first to quit." I asked him why he still hired night cleaners. He said, "Because someone has to watch them. If no one is in the church at night, they get restless. They start walking. We learned that the hard way 50 years ago. One night the church was empty. The next morning, all the pews were overturned. The altar was cracked in half, and the statues were standing in a circle around the center of the church, holding hands." I hung up the phone. I haven't been inside a church since. But sometimes, when I walk past that building at night, I see the stained glass windows glowing, and inside, behind the glass, I see shapes moving, tall shapes. 12 of them. Last week I moved to a different city. I thought I left it all behind. But last night I woke up at 3:33 a.m. to a sound outside my apartment. It was singing, soft, whispery, in Latin. I looked out my window. Across the street there is a small church. Its lights were on, and in the windows I saw silhouettes, tall, stone silhouettes, moving between the pews. One of them stopped at the window. It turned toward me. Even from across the street I could see its eyes, black, deep, smiling. I closed my curtains and didn't sleep. This morning, I found a note taped to my front door. No signature. The note said, "We followed you. We follow all the cleaners. You dusted us. You touched us. You are ours now. Come back to the church tonight. Come back to the circle. We saved a spot for you, right between St. Peter and the Virgin Mary. We have been waiting for someone new, someone to join us. Don't be afraid. The stone is cold at first, but you get used to it. After a while, you don't feel anything at all. After a while, you become us. Tonight at midnight. Don't be late. We don't like to wait. I'm writing this from a hotel. I don't know where to go." We got married 3 months ago in a small chapel outside the city. It was an old building, maybe 100 years old, with wooden pews and a bell tower that leaned slightly to the left. The chapel was surrounded by a cemetery, not a modern one, an old one, with headstones from the 1800s. We thought it would be romantic. The photos would look great with the old stones and the moss. The priest was an old man with kind eyes and shaky hands. He asked us if we knew the history of the chapel. We said no. He smiled and said, "It's not important." But his eyes said something else. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 p.m. We arrived early to set up flowers and candles. The chapel was cold inside, even though it was summer. I walked around looking at the old windows and the wooden carvings on the walls. There was a door behind the altar, small and made of dark wood. I asked the priest what was behind it. He said, "The sacristy, nothing more." But he stepped in front of the door when I tried to get closer. The ceremony started. My wife walked down the aisle. The priest began the vows. Everything was normal until the priest asked, "Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" I opened my mouth to say, "I do." But someone else spoke first. A voice from behind the altar, from behind the small dark door. It said, "I do." The voice was deep, old, like dust and stone. Everyone in the chapel froze. My wife turned pale. The priest's hand stopped shaking. He just stared at the door. I asked, "Who said that?" No one answered. The priest cleared his throat and said, "Let's continue." He asked again, "Do you take this woman?" I said, "I do," quickly, before the voice could answer again. The ceremony finished. We signed the papers, took the photos, and left. I didn't ask about the voice, neither did my wife. We pretended it didn't happen. That night, in our hotel room, we both woke up at 3:33 a.m. The window was open. Neither of us had opened it. On the windowsill, there was a wilted flower, a white lily, like the ones we had at the wedding. Tied to the stem was a small piece of paper. It said, "You belong to me now. You both do." I said, "I do first. That makes you mine." My wife started crying. I threw the flower out the window. The next day, I called the priest. I asked him about the voice. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "The chapel was built on an old grave, not a normal grave. A grave of someone who was not buried properly, someone who was left behind. The door behind the altar leads to a small room. In that room there is a stone, a flat stone on the floor. Under that stone there is a body. No one knows who. No one knows how old. But sometimes, when people say vows in that chapel, something under the stone says them too. And once it says them, it believes the marriage is real." I asked him why he didn't tell us before. He said, "Because no one would get married there if they knew, and the chapel needs the money." I hung up. I didn't know what to do. For the next few weeks, strange things happened. Our wedding photo, which hangs in our living room, started changing. At first it was subtle. My wife's smile looked wrong, too wide. Then my eyes looked black in the photo, even though they're brown. Then we noticed someone else in the photo. Behind us, in the background of the chapel, there was a dark shape. A shape that wasn't there when the photo was taken. A shape that looked like a person standing in the doorway behind the altar. Every week the shape got clearer, more defined. Last month we could see its face. It was a man, maybe 30 years old, with sunken eyes and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He was wearing old clothes from maybe 100 years ago, and he was holding a lily, a white lily, like the one we found on the windowsill. We took the photo down and burned it. The next morning, a new photo appeared in its place, a photo we never printed, a photo of us sleeping in our bed from the corner of our room. The angle was strange, like someone had been standing in the closet. We moved to a different apartment. We left almost everything behind, but the things followed us. The wilted flowers appear on our nightstand every morning. The voice whispers in our bedroom at night, not loud, just loud enough to hear. My wife, my husband, you said yes. I said yes first. I went back to the chapel alone last week. The priest wasn't there. The door was unlocked. I walked to the altar and opened the small, dark door. Behind it was a room barely big enough to stand in. On the floor there was a flat stone. I tried to move it. It wouldn't budge. I pressed my ear to the stone. From underneath I heard breathing, slow, steady, patient. Then a voice, the same voice from the wedding. It said, "Finally, you came to visit. I've been waiting. The stone is heavy, but one day it will lift. One day I will walk up those stairs and out that door. And on that day, I will come find you. We will finish what we started. The vows were just the beginning. There is more. A marriage needs to be consummated. I've been patient, but patience ends." I ran out of the chapel and drove home shaking. I told my wife we need to leave the country. We are planning to move overseas. New continent, new name, new life. But last night I had a dream. I was back in the chapel, standing in front of the flat stone. The stone was lifted. The hole underneath was dark. Something climbed out. Something tall and thin and pale. It looked at me with sunken eyes. It smiled with a mouth too wide. It said, "You can't run from a marriage. A marriage is forever, till death do us part. But I am already dead. So the only way to end this is if you die too. I can help with that. I have been waiting." I woke up screaming. My wife was sitting up in bed, staring at the corner of the room. She asked me if I saw it too. I asked her what she saw. She said, "A man, standing in the corner, wearing old clothes, holding a lily. He was smiling at you." I looked at the corner. No one was there, but the air was cold, much colder than the rest of the room. And on the floor, where the man had been standing, there were wet footprints. Footprints that led to our bed, and stopped, right next to my side. I grabbed my wife's hand. Her hand was cold too, too cold. I asked her if she was okay. She turned to look at me. Her eyes were different, darker. She smiled, a smile too wide, a smile I didn't recognize. She said, "I do." Her voice was not her voice. It was his voice, the voice from the chapel. I let go of her hand and backed away. She laughed, not her laugh, his laugh, deep and old. Then she blinked, and her eyes went back to normal. She asked me why I was across the room. She didn't remember anything. I didn't tell her. I'm writing this from a coffee shop. I don't know if I'm married to my wife anymore, or to something else. I'm afraid to go home. I volunteer at an old church in my neighborhood. Nothing fancy, just helping with events and cleaning after services. Last month, the priest asked me to organize the storage room in the basement. I said yes because I'm nice and because I was curious. I had never been in the basement. The door was behind the altar, small and easy to miss. The priest gave me a key and said, "Don't go past the storage room. There are older parts of the church down there, parts we don't use anymore." I asked him what he meant. He just walked away. I opened the door and walked down old stone stairs. The basement was cold and smelled like dirt and rust. The storage room was easy to find. Boxes of old candles, broken furniture, dusty vestments. I started organizing. After an hour, I noticed another doorway at the back of the storage room. It wasn't a door. It was just an opening in the stone wall, dark and low. I had to duck to walk through it. On the other side, there was another room, smaller, older. The walls were not stone. They were dirt, like someone had dug a tunnel and never finished. In the center of the room, there was a hole in the floor. A square hole, maybe 3 feet wide. Stairs went down, more stairs, old wooden stairs that looked like they would break if you stepped on them. I shone my phone light down. I couldn't see the bottom. I called out, "Hello?" My voice echoed for a long time. Too long. Like the stairs went very deep. I heard something from below. A whisper. I couldn't understand the words, but the voice was dry, like leaves scraping on pavement. I stepped back. The priest had said not to go past the storage room. I turned around and went back up. I didn't tell anyone what I saw. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the stairs, how deep they went, what was at the bottom. The next day I went back to the church. The priest wasn't there. I took the key and went down to the basement, the storage room, the opening in the wall, the hole in the floor. The stairs were still there. I decided to go down, just a little, just to see. I stepped onto the first stair. It held. The second, the third. The stairs went down in a straight line, carved into the dirt. The walls were damp. Roots hung from the ceiling. After about 20 stairs, I stopped. I couldn't see the top anymore. I couldn't see the bottom either. I was in a tunnel of dirt, with wooden stairs leading down into darkness. My phone light only reached a few feet. I called out again. "Hello?" This time, the echo came back faster, and there was something else. A voice, clearer than before. It said, "Keep coming. We are almost there." I froze. The voice didn't sound human. It sounded like many voices at once, layered over each other. Men, women, children, all speaking the same words at the same time. I turned around to go back up, but the stairs behind me were gone. There was just darkness, and the voice again. "Don't go. We have been waiting." I started climbing up anyway, step by step, reaching into the darkness. My hands touched dirt, then wood, then more dirt. No stairs, just the wall of the tunnel. I was trapped. The voice said, "The stairs only go down. They have always only gone down. People build stairs to go up, but these stairs were built to go down to us. Keep walking. It's not much further." I had no choice. I turned around and started walking down again. The stairs creaked under my weight. The roots brushed against my face. The air got colder, thicker, harder to breathe. After what felt like an hour, I saw a light. Not sunlight, a dim, flickering light, like candles. I reached the bottom of the stairs. There was a room. A large room carved out of the dirt, with walls lined with candles. Hundreds of candles, maybe thousands. Some were burning, some were melted down to nothing. In the center of the room, there was a stone table, and on the table, there were bones, human bones, arranged in a pattern. A circle. I counted 12 skulls around the edge. In the middle of the circle, there was a space, empty, like someone was missing. The voice said, "That space is for you. We have been saving it for a long time. For you." I asked who they were. The voice said, "We were the congregation, before the church upstairs was built, before the priest came, before anyone remembered us. We worshipped here, in the dark, under the ground. We built the stairs so we could go up and see the sun. But the sun burned us, so we came back down. And we stayed. One by one, we stayed. Now we are the church, the real church. The one upstairs is just a decoration, a lie. You found the truth. Now you belong to us." I tried to run back to the stairs, but the stairs were gone, just a wall of dirt where they used to be. I was trapped. I screamed. No sound came out. The candles flickered. The bones on the table rattled. The empty space in the middle of the circle seemed to glow. The voice said, "Lie down. It doesn't hurt. We have done this many times. You will become part of us, part of the congregation. You will never be alone again. You will never be cold again. You will never be hungry or sad or afraid. You will just be here with us forever." I closed my eyes. I felt hands on my shoulders, cold hands, many hands, pulling me toward the stone table. I tried to fight, but I couldn't move. Then I heard a sound above, footsteps on wooden stairs. Someone was coming down. The hands let go of me. The candles went out. I opened my eyes. I was standing at the top of the basement stairs, back in the storage room. The priest was behind me. He said, "I told you not to go past the storage room." His voice was shaking. I asked him how I got back up. He said, "I prayed. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. You were lucky." I asked him what was down there. He looked at the floor. "The old church, the one before this one. They never left. They are still down there, waiting for more." He led me out of the basement and locked the door. He said, "Don't come back. Not to this church. Not to any church. They know your face now. They know your name. They will look for you." I asked him how to stop them. He said, "You can't. You can only hide and hope they get tired of waiting. They have waited centuries. They can wait longer. But you can't. You only have decades. They will outlast you. And when you die, they will find you. And they will bring you down to the stone table, to the empty space, to the congregation." I left and never went back to that church. That was a month ago. I have moved 3 times since then. I don't sleep well. At night I hear whispers from the walls, voices that sound like many people speaking at once. They say my name. They say, "We are still waiting. The space is still empty. It is for you. No one else fits. We have tried others. They broke. But you are perfect. Come back to the stairs. They are not gone. They are under your bed, under your floor, under your skin. Just look down. Dig. You will find them. We will be there, with candles, with the table, with the circle, waiting." I am writing this from a bus station. I don't know where to go next.